Call it whatever you want. We've all heard the different names before. DIY wall molding, DIY hallway trim, DIY picture frame molding, wainscoting. The list literally goes on and on. But the point is, we basically want something that adds a little bit more character and dimension to the plain walls in our home. And that's basically what I'm going to be doing in today's video. I'm going to be adding this DIY wall trim in my hallway. Here are a few of the before images of my hallway. You can see it's plain and boring. The lights need to be updated and the vent cover definitely needs to be changed. So before we get started, I'm going to make a run to the hardware store and pick up a few of the supplies I'm going to need for this project. Let's get started.
You are watching DIY by Niky Foster.
So I have been wanting to try this out for a hot minute, so I'm glad I got them now. Yeah, I'm trying to do some sort of trim or something in the hallway. So I've looked online and someone said that they use 1 1/8 height. The height of this is 12 feet. So I'm hoping it can fit in my car. I guess we'll have to see. PVC molding so long that I had to like roll down my passenger window and drive like this.
Back at home, I got started painting right away. I'm using Polar Bear for the paint. I used it in other rooms in my house and I love the way the rooms look. And because I had used it in the other rooms, like the kitchen and the dining room, I wanted the same color to flow from the hallway to the upstairs, which is where the kitchen and dining room is. Currently, the lighting in the hallway is terrible because the lights are so yellow and it's like those weird boob lights. But I do plan on changing that at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around to see the lights that I got. So I already painted on the side of the wall over here, and I also got some areas that I missed before. And so this little dot on the wall is not dry yet. It's still kind of pink. So I'm gonna just paint the rest of the stuff that, again, like certain areas in the house that I didn't paint for some reason. I think I was confused. Like I didn't know what color to paint them. I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna just paint them now. For painting, I wanted to paint this hallway for quite a while. I know I always say that for every room makeover, for every room, but it's so true. Sometimes time just slips away from me and I just don't get to do my makeovers as quickly as I would like. Plus, I know I want to record the transformation for you guys. So it just takes a lot of planning and preparation for everything. A side note, I also wanted to paint some of the other spaces in the living room that I had forgot the last time I painted. So there was like this little mini area like kind of above where the kitchen and dining room is. And then also some of the areas like right above the stairs that still was part of the living room. I don't think I knew what color to paint it. I just wasn't sure of like the rules of painting and everything like that. But since I'm painting everything the same color anyway, now obviously I know that I'm supposed to paint it the same color. So as you may have noticed, the living room has a bulkhead, but it's connected to like my upstairs hallway. But I will be painting that in the future. And if I personally don't get to do it because the ceilings are really high in that space, I may hire like a contractor to do it or something like that. And if you guys are interested in seeing that whole process of everything and you would like to see more videos like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel.
Here's how the hallway is looking so far. I'm just gonna let it all dry and come back and do any touch-ups. So I don't know if you guys noticed this vent here. I could clean this, but it looks kind of grungy. So I'm just gonna like switch the whole thing out. I already picked up one from Home Depot, so I'm just gonna swap this out.
The van was really dusty inside, so I took a wet vac and suctioned the dust that I could from it. Then I just used a cleaning spray and some paper towels to wipe it out and just make sure it was as clean as possible. I just picked up a standard grill to replace the one that was on it before, and I would love to make a custom air vent return, but for now, I'm just gonna go with this. It looks way better than it did before, and so I'm happy with it for now. To start the trim, I used painter's tape to mark off where the trim would actually go. I looked up a ton of ideas online and none of the outlines had the layout for my house. Obviously that's expected. So I did go in with the mindset that I would have to try a few different styles to see which one I like the best. I ended up having a bit of a trial and error and I'll tell you about it in just one second. Using painter's tape for this is the best bet because you get to see how the trim will look before actually installing it. Also a note, and this is something I learned from my research, I'm spacing the trim 3 inches apart You can do it any way you want, but this is just something I read and I liked the way it looked. And I felt like it was like a pretty easy rule to follow with it being my first time installing something like this. Here's the part where I didn't like the layout. Because my layout is on the stairs, I needed to make sure there was some sort of cohesion so the picture frame molding would look the best. So I took down the middle area and then lined up the middle rectangle frame so it will look more cohesive. Also for angled spaces, I did try to follow the same pattern like by the stair corners or in the ceiling where the upstairs would meet. And as you can see, breaking up the trim with a larger rectangle shape in the middle and then smaller box molding at the bottom and just a few little angles at the top made the hallway space look way more elongated. So this is how the DIY wall paneling is looking so far. It did switch from my original plan. My original plan was kind of going with 2 panels, but it ended up being 3 panels here, which makes the individual like sections skinnier, which gives the illusion of more height, which is what I was going for. So I think this looks really good so far. I was planning on trying it a couple different ways, but I think I'm going to just keep it like this because I'm liking the way it looks. I wanted to give that elegant feel in the hallway, and then I'm going to do it in this hallway too. Or hire someone because that one's really high. But other than that, this is how it's looking so far.
Okay, so I've been contemplating whether I'm going to record here in this space, and I just figured let me just hit the record button and get going or I'll just procrastinate all day. So it's actually been a couple of days since I last filmed, and I kind of left off on just like where I taped up the wall. I just had a bunch of stuff going on. I had like a family, not like a family thing, but it was a memorial service for one of my uncles who passed. So I had that, and then I had a birthday party for one of my little cousins, and it just was like a bunch of stuff going on. The other thing was I was a little nervous to get started on cutting the trim, and this is one of those things that I do when I am fearful of finishing a project. I'll just like procrastinate and like pause for a few days, but I also come back to it. So I don't just like give up completely on it. And I think even just starting the channel and basically just filming myself forces me to finish things. I was like scared of messing up, but then I don't know, I guess like reality hit too. And I'm like, how can I really mess it up? You know what I mean? So I just kind of got over myself and just, now I'm going to keep going. Another thing that I do is I only do one thing at a time. So even though I want to do other projects, like I want to do my garage, I think I had mentioned that before. I want to finish the living room. It's not really finished yet. Like I need curtains and curtain rods and stuff. So I didn't really finish it, but I won't get started. I didn't even buy anything for the living room yet. Like I started this project, but I didn't really finish it. And the kitchen, it's so many different things, so much going on. I wanted to finish the hallway first because the background was really bothering me. And now that I got the anthropology mirror, I wanted to make sure like the background of that looked good. The other thing was I was being lazy and I didn't feel like redoing the tape. So that's that. So I'm just going to do it how it is now. I think it looks pretty good. And now that it's been on the walls for a couple of days, like seeing the outline of it, I think it's going to look fine. So that was my little spiel. And I guess we'll get started. Let's go.
Now it's time to actually install the trim. I'm using this tool to cut the material. I'm using PVC molding that I picked up. Some people use wood, which is less expensive, but it also requires the use of a miter saw. For ease of use, I'm using this handheld tool that I was able to use right in my living room. This is the key for the no saw hack. All you have to do is measure the length of the cut that you want. Take those measurements and measure the PVC molding using a pencil marking if needed. Cut the first piece on a 45-degree angle and then cut the next side on a 45-degree angle in the opposite direction. So essentially it'll look like a long trapezoid. The pieces should fit snugly into each corner and it should look like a picture frame, and that's probably why they call it picture frame molding. To install into the wall, I'm using a leveler and a brad nailer to make sure each piece is firm into the molding and also into the wall. Then I just continue with the whole process, cutting the trim, then using the brad nailer and leveler until all the trim is installed onto the wall. This process is pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward, but The measuring is time consuming, and for me, since I was recording and doing this during school hours, it took me about 2 days to finish this whole process up. Once the box molding was installed, there was a few tiny spaces in between some of the edges and some of the spacing between the wall and the PVC molding. So to seal this, all I used was some caulk and a caulk gun. So I'm using white caulk and a caulk gun to squeeze the material into the crevices, and then using either the caulk tool or my finger to smooth it all out. Once it dries, I was able to just paint it with the same color I used to paint the wall. This allowed everything to match perfectly and gave it a really professional looking finish.
All right, so you can see the lights I currently have. These are called boob lights because of the way they are shaped, I'm guessing. So I have 2 of them and I'm just gonna change them out. So I ordered this one off Amazon and I like the way it looks. I actually already changed one of the lights in the hallway. So the light down at the bottom portion of the hallway I already changed. But if you guys are looking for a way to easily change lighting, I do have another video that I already showed. It's in the bathroom makeover video, but it still has like a segment in there where I show exactly how to change the lighting from start to finish. So I'm gonna link down in the description box the timestamp for that video and like the video itself, and then you guys can watch that if you want to, if you're learning how to change lighting. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna keep going and change this light, and I'll just show you how it looks like the before and after of it. So with this is what people usually call like a boob light, and it makes your house look really dated instead of using like more of like a modern style light. So that's why I'm changing this, because I'm trying to upgrade my house to look more of that vintage modern style, more modern with just like a hint of vintage. So that's what I'm gonna do now, and let's get into it. It's a little dark in here because I had to turn all the lights out in the family room that's connected to the hallway. So hopefully this works. I got the kitchen light still on so you can kind of see something. But yeah, sorry about that.
Changing the lights in the hallway was pretty simple. I just unscrewed the existing light and untwisted the wires that were all connected. Like I mentioned before, I do go in a little bit more depth in that other video. If you guys are looking for how to change a light, it's pretty much the same. The new light that I'm going to be installing has an LED panel, which is really cool. And I actually never seen any lights for the hallway like that before. It doesn't require any actual bulbs, so I was really excited to get this one installed.
There's different temperatures, so you can do that. There's like a little gauge.
Once I selected the temperature I like the best for the lights, I slid the cover on and this project was complete.
Yay, we did it!
Here's just a quick reminder of what the hallway looked like before. Before it was plain and boring and the lights were definitely outdated. And here's what the hallway looks like now. I was able to upgrade the way the space looks just by adding some picture frame molding and without the use of a saw. I also updated the vent cover and changed the lights. The total cost for this project was only $400. I had already had a few of the other tools like the brad nailer from previous projects. Here's just another quick before and after. I really love the way this project turned out, and I can't wait to show you more DIY projects.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. I hope it inspired you in any way. And if it did, make sure you like this video. I do have a few more DIY projects planned for the end of this year and then also into next year. So if this is something that you are liking, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Also, I'm on Instagram and my Instagram handle is @itsNicoleFoster. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.